Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This video specifically is really important to me, but also one I put just a ton of time into the past few weeks. And not necessarily the video editing, but because of what the video is about, and really putting it together and putting work into this to really understand the subject, especially with some of the tools that were provided to me. Remember when we made a video about flow state and how to obtain that state of mind? What if we could track that performance? Now, as a reminder, let us define flow state quickly. Now, flow state, also known as being in the zone, is a mental state in which a person performing some activity is fully immersed in a feeling of energized focus, full involvement, and enjoyment in the process of the activity. Now, what I have today is I'm using a headband from FocusCalm paired with a smartphone app that uses neurofeedback to reduce feelings of stress. It tracks the most complete brain training system because it combines calming neurofeedback games, focus games, meditation, and target daily programs. But what if? Now, what I've done is I'm showcasing in just a moment me utilizing it in the test range. And I have an overlay. I took the app and I overlaid it while I was playing. Because it's really cool to know where my mind is racing and where I'm in a flow state. What I'm going to do after is go over gameplay with me using it and even explain my mindset when it dropped or whenever I was barely in flow state at all. Also, it's crazy how much I recorded to actually improve. Apex Legends is a very difficult game to get into because of just so much going on. I'll explain more with me wearing it. Leave a like if you want to see more rounds of this. It was difficult for me initially to get this overlay working, and I lost so much footage. I showcased some of it that I messed up a little bit because I really got some great stuff. But it makes me think of the potential of this. It just gets me really excited. So this video is long, but I've learned so much, and there's so much I want to share with you, I promise. Speaking of sharing, in the pinned comment I have a link to FocusCalm where you can save $25 if you're interested. Let's segue where I'm in the test range and I'm kind of in a calm state. Let's segue to that and continue the conversation. Okay everyone, now in this segment what I want to discuss is the meter that you see on the left hand side of your screen. It took me a moment to finally reach the relaxed state of mind, but you know, it's interesting. Once you start hitting record, even though I feel relaxed, my mind is starting to race and think about what I'm going to say in this video overall. And of course, because I'm multitasking and starting to shoot a target, just being in the test range, because this is something, you know, I find relaxing as I clear my mind towards the end of the day and what I would normally do. After this, after I explain the FocusCalm score over on the left, what I'm going to do is segue to some gameplay where I utilized it in game and why this video took me so long to really make. So let's explain that really quickly. This video took me a lot longer to make when I first was talking to FocusCalm about the headband, which I kind of showed some glamour shots just a second ago of it. When you put it on, you kind of feel like a superhero. You know, whenever it is red, which you see active right now, and it goes into yellow, when the headband even changes colors. When it's red, well, it's going to turn red. Whenever it's yellow, the headband is going to turn yellow. When you finally reach that relaxed and flow state, it turns blue. So it's interesting because when I first started this project weeks ago, and I hopped in game and I started using this, even when I was in the test range, I was always in the red. I was always active. I was overthinking a lot, and I just feel like I've barely scratched the surface of what it means to really improve. And this is me moving in the background left and right, just so you know that this is not a voiceover me, and this is me in the moment utilizing it. And you see my score on the left as I'm doing this voiceover of how much my body may be calm, like I can feel my arm and muscles and know that I'm not stressed out. But my mind is still racing, and I'm not necessarily in a flow state quite yet. I'm just neutral. But what it means to really be in a flow state. So there is the phone app, which is what I'm broadcasting for you guys. I've kind of got clever with the technology and tried to overlay the phone over on the gameplay that you see here. I actually lost a lot of gameplay footage, which really stressed me out. I had about nearly 8 hours of gameplay footage recorded, all gone, because the app on the screen that you see there actually froze and I lost a lot of that footage. So what was interesting is I'm going to talk about the footage of what I recorded once I got the headband. You see, I'm just me thinking about it. I'm
feel like I'm thinking about the footage when I lost it. And I had a hard time sleeping that night. I'm not going to lie. It definitely stressed me out beyond belief because I had a video all planned out. And the gameplay that I got that night was, in my eyes, I was like, this is perfect to showcase. This is a great example to showcase for FocusCalm. But I'm going to showcase that footage whenever it wasn't working. And then what happened afterwards when my state of mind was not in the most positive state. And you can see that I was very active at that point. And then the next day, once I was able to reach an easier flow state, or like relaxed state right off the bat, because I came in with a clear mind. So what does this mean for Apex Legends? Well, it means that there's so much that is untapped, because I still have several thousand hours in Apex Legends, and yet my mind is not in a relaxed state of mind, which when you're playing competitively, it doesn't mean you're ever going to reach that. But for me, it just kind of screams that there's a lot of potential and opportunity with consistently improving. And that's what really excites me about this, and even using it for a future video. I want to see as I use the apps, because when I use the app, I can easily reach a nice, calm, and relaxed state of mind. But whenever I'm in game in Apex Legends, it's much harder for me to reach that. And I don't know how to solve for it, and not gonna lie, and maybe FocusCalm is actually going to be watching this video when we post it on the YouTube channel, was how intimidating it was to realize that I guess it's a positive thing, realizing there is a skill ceiling there to really improve, and what that means, but also how what you think is happening sometimes isn't necessarily the end result. So while I believe that I'm calm, my mind was still running in the background, or even the baggage that you weigh from that day, from work or anything, lives with you. And taking a few moments to really, I don't like to use the word clear your mind, I use it to the words calm your mind, or even like you hear in the Matrix, free your mind. That is something that is a lot harder for me to do than I thought it would be. So when we segue to the footage here in just a moment, you're going to see the score that we just covered on the left, and we're going to break this down in all the footage that you see. And I'm excited to review it because I was in the moment, yes, but reviewing it after the fact and taking a look at the footage and going over how I felt just a few days ago whenever I went through the footage. Let's get into it, guys. Okay, let's start with the footage that froze. This hands down was a round that was really, really amazing, and I just want to go through some of the highlights. Whenever I drop initially, the interesting part is that I'm always very active. So you see the error that I ran into when I was trying to get this overlay to work properly is that this froze. This was very unfortunate because this was a round that I really clutched up and did a lot of pretty great plays, but from my memory when I was doing this, I was highly stressed. This was a moment I flew away from the Wraith, got away with an inch of life, and I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, my mind was active. Now I want to skim through this just to highlight the reason why I was so excited about having this be quote-unquote the round to utilize was because of just how much action took place. And of course this was in Fragment, which was, you know, where a lot of great stuff really takes place. The plus side of this round though was just beaming people essentially left and right. And even one person got beamed out of the sky. Let me showcase that for you here in just a second. Those guys got absolutely destroyed. We were just on fire, and it was just a really great round. And maybe I was overthinking it. I was just having a hard time getting a lot of footage initially with this. I think the headband kind of made me feel a little bit self-conscious is the word, I believe. And I even sniped one guy. There he is, out of the sky there. Look at that. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Finally got him. That poor guy was trying to Valk ult away. And even at the very end here, we clutched it out and we got a very nice win. So this was frozen, but I just wanted to provide this for context because the next thing I'm going to show you guys was a round that was not so hot. I came in and I fixed the error, and I remember I emailed FocusCalm and I was like, I just lost so much footage. And I want to showcase where my mind was racing in the next bit here. So this was directly after I finally fixed it. You see now the image is moving. That's whenever I finally got it working, but look how stressed I already was. And I was already stressed before because I was just struggling to get the right game in. And it could be just a lot of self-judgment on terms of my own performance and how I was doing. But even going into this round, I was already highly stressed. And as we keep moving a little bit forward, I just was not in the right state of mind because the footage I had already lost, and it was just not really a positive thing that I was feeling in that moment. But it really showcases, like I mentioned, the emotional baggage that you bring with you. What I always found interesting is that every time I dropped initially was whenever my mind was thinking the most. And that's going to be a common theme when we go through this footage, is that I was always at my worst when we were dropping, and then once I landed, I kind of calmed down a little bit. And the reason I'm showcasing this is because even though I was really frustrated, I had some good movement. So I flew right over this, and this poor Octane here just got absolutely shredded. So already was a nice beginning. Unfortunately, we did get eliminated shortly after because we got thirded. But nonetheless, I'm in a neutral state here. I found whenever I'm looting that I become more stressed than anything. See, when I'm going through my loot, you see that I'm thinking a lot. And then once I'm able to kind of just get my surroundings and bearings is whenever I don't freak out as much. Even though it doesn't feel like I'm freaking out, it's picking up that I'm active, which is a great word to replace instead of saying stress. So we get thirded here, and I try to run away, and then we do inevitably get eliminated. So let's go over to the next gameplay for the next day whenever things started going a lot more positive. So going into the next day here, I was definitely a lot more relaxed even going off the drop. This was a pretty solid round that we put together. Before this round, we had a few hot drops that just didn't go too well. Just, starting off the day wasn't too hot, but we did drop hot. What I found interesting is that whenever because I didn't really have much going on for this day. This was later on in the evening, less going on, didn't have to really worry about work or anything like that. I was able to kind of ease and relax into this, which really helped. It took me a second to really find my flow, missed a few shots there, but you see overall I'm in a neutral state, and I'm not too stressed. But again, the key theme is I notice when I'm looting, let's see if I drop down into a more of a stressed state of mind. This round went overall pretty well, and I even reached a few moments where I reached a relaxed state, which is probably the first time that it ever really happened, and it really surprised me. I think today, after the recording went so poorly yesterday and realizing I lost so much footage, I came in and just kind of relaxed, and I did use FocusCalm that morning to get me in a better state of mind and just kind of ease into this. So luckily, we do see a team that's located here. I am calming. I did not even use FocusCalm in ranked yet, which could be a very interesting video to really put together. But I didn't decide to do that right away because I knew that I was already in a very active state of mind, which I was like, well, I need to walk before I can run, at least with the headband on, thinking about this. So pretty strong start, already got 3 kills to my name. Overall, I do get about 10 kills wrapped up in this whole round, and I'll skip over to the action, and we'll see as we're rotating. I stay in a very neutral state the whole way through. Nothing too much going on here, very neutral, and I stay active. What's interesting is that I'm active here is because we hear gunshots. I found whenever I wasn't in a lot of action or a lot of gunfights, my mind was racing, looking around as if I was playing Where's Waldo. It's almost like the anticipation of where an enemy team is located almost stresses you out a little bit. Not really stresses you out, but gets your mind thinking like, okay, let's look at the map. Let's look at where we're rotating. Are they close by? Are they nearby? Where are they at? And then once we heard the gunfire, once I located the enemy, I went more of a neutral state because I didn't have to think of where the enemy was coming from. So once I know the enemy's down here, you'll notice I went immediately into a neutral state, which is fascinating to really see. See, instantly, look how much better my FocusCalm score is because I'm not stressing or even thinking about where the enemy could be. I know where the enemy is at, and because I know where the enemy is at, I was in a lot more of a calm state. I was looking around a little bit stressed, wondering where they're at, and when I use the word stress, like my body, like I don't feel like I'm overwhelmed, and they also are calming that we're getting thirded. So that makes you think, right? Getting thirded, that's the first thing that is troublesome with your mind, right? That you have to instantly worry about getting thirded and not really stressed out, but put in an active state of mind. So we do manage to clean this up, and we want to get into the action with a team down below. I think there's just an Octane left. Just hit him once, and then he goes boop. And farewell to that team. So look what's interesting. Once we finish off the third party, I went into a neutral state of mind. It's interesting how it does read. You hear it a lot in pro play as well. You get thirded, and your mind instantly starts trying to assess and think, what is happening? what is going on and how do I counter this? What utility do I need to use? Do I zip up? You saw me zip up, and notice how, again, every time I'm looting, how active my mind goes. Which is why it makes me wonder, is it possible to even get into a constant flow state in Apex Legends where you are just instantly in a flow state? And I know FocusCalm has games where you can play to where you're doing tasks, and this is the interesting part. This is one of the few times I have ever reached a relaxed state, because I know where the enemies are at, and despite getting into constant gunfire, because I always feel more confident and calm whenever I am in a firefight. If I spend too much time out of a gunfight, I feel like I am constantly stressing. Not really stressing, but thinking. I am thinking about what could be happening in this encounter. What do I need to do next? So we do finish that little gent there up, and I do bat. And I think there's one more that I didn't notice, and they're in a firefight here, and I come in to assist for the cleanup, and there we go, and that's it. So positive that I was able to get into a relaxed state of mind, but this plummets every time that I loot. And this is a great round because there's constant action going on, even from the beginning. I haven't really needed to jump cut besides the rotation part. I remember what I said here. This is even more interesting. I've been so confident that even though I was in a firefight, I was able to find my flow and not really freak out or get active or get thinking. Is because I know where my enemy's at. I know the situation. I know how to combat it. I know what to do. When I was first wearing this headband, once I finally acknowledge what gets my mind thinking and what I need to clear my mind to better think of, that's whenever I really started to hit the more relaxed state of mind comparatively. So we get a lot of damage here and we go for the push. I'm still in a pretty relaxed state. Again, I rest assured this is the best round that I ever hit with this. And I'm going to showcase one other round afterwards where I did not hit as much of a relaxed state. And we do get thirded. We keep our composure as a squad. Even though we're calming that we're getting thirded, it never really brings us to the brink of absolute panic. Now, I wonder if I ever hit again a active state here. And this poor Bloodhound just absolutely gets shredded, so I go for the push and cleanup. We know there's a team on the opposite end, and we have to keep our positioning strong together. I don't have any batteries at this point. So it makes me wonder, with how much more breathing technique and acknowledging this, how far I can go. And even you watching this video, realizing that even though you think you're calm, that your mind is still racing with things. And what that means. So I'm communicating new batteries. Getting batteries, I mean, that's a nice thing to be relaxing to, honestly. Getting the right attachments, having things go your way in game can be very soothing. When a situation can be really chaotic, knowing that there is utility having batteries, it's like getting a present for your birthday, right? If somebody comes to you and says, this is why communicating with your squad is so important, because Mari and I know I don't have the comms up, but I want to commentate over this, and I don't want it to get muddied up with too much. But rest assured, we are communicating, and we're not yelling at each other to the point where it's negative. So if you ever have teammates, great tip, that are really stressing you out and giving you comms that it feels like it's bringing you down, rest assured, if you had this headband on, your FocusCalm score would be dropping. And that's really important to know who you're playing with, because you might even do better with people, random people, rather than somebody who might be negative on your squad. I know I get knocked here, but you know the plus side? I'm keeping calm. They're resetting, and I'm crawling right back to them. The team is pretty far away, so I'm not necessarily panicked or worried about the situation. I don't know why. I just felt like things were going so well, and I was just hitting my flow, especially from the last day. You know what's crazy? Looking at the footage, this footage feels arguably better than the footage that I had from the other round. So I guess everything does happen for a reason. This footage here was arguably better, and that right there does make me a lot happier that maybe the footage was meant to delete for a reason. This is why it's always better to keep a positive mindset, because you never know why things happen, and there's always a reason for it. Because I'm actually shocked with how much I only thought, because I didn't focus on the score when I was in this round. I kind of saw the headband from my monitor, from the left side of my monitor. It kind of like, you can see a reflection. You know, it's a pretty bright light that showcases on the headband. And whenever I looked over, I saw it was blue a lot, and I was like, oh, okay, we're vibing. This is a good round, you know. I think this is the first time in the round that you see me really go active, and you know the reason why? I don't know where they're at. I don't know where teams are at. And for some reason, my mind races when I don't know where teams are at. When I know where teams are at, I calm down. So I see a team that's flying away, and I see the team in front of me. Confidence is building. I can breathe. I can soothe my mind knowing that this fight here is isolated, and I even call for it, which is why I ping for it. Let's just get rid of the squad here, and then we'll rotate around. I call for us to push, and we make a push. And we get pretty aggressive on this squad. So we cut the angle here. The Gibraltar is moving away. And a nice little flick there, especially with the 3x, so the sensitivity is not necessarily ideal. There's a lot going on here, but because we know this is an isolated fight, I'm not necessarily relaxed, because I do have in the back of my mind, and there they are shooting. They're far away, so I don't necessarily have to go into an active state of mind. Now, we do have to rotate here to zone. I do apologize that this is blocking the map. I just didn't initially know where to put this. But it's interesting here, when I know where the enemy teams are, I'm not panicking. And for a minute there, I didn't know how to get off the rampart, because I had my keybinds accidentally get wiped whenever... I don't know if you guys saw the stream this past Sunday, but they did get wiped because of like a bug. It's fine now, but I couldn't get off that. So now again, it seems now we're looking over the footage. When I don't know where teams are at, it's when I have to think. When I have to think about this map, this rotation, what's going to happen, where do we go? That's when the mind starts to wander. And so I skipped ahead just a little bit here. And the reason I did that is because the teams, there's only 3 teams left, and they're all located over here on the right. And because I'm still trying to search for where the enemy team is, what I need to really clean up here is to be in a flow state. Wow, that dropped down to a 7. My mind was really racing, and it definitely was, because I'm thinking, okay, I'm pinging. You see where I'm seeing the teams, and the more information I'm clearing up, the less active my mind is. My mind is racing with scenarios that are going to happen with the situation. Are the teams going to meet us here? Where are the other 2? Where are they at? But once I locate where the enemy is, I instantly start to calm down a little bit. And here we are again. I don't know where they're at. But then I do locate one here. I kind of messed up a little bit of the recoil control there. He was really low. And there is a team over on the right that I get charge rifled from. But the plus side is I know where they're at. So if I know where they're at, that builds some confidence there. And intel can be the biggest asset to building confidence. So if you're new to the game and you don't know what's going on, really get to know the map and understand where enemies are located. And this is even for as ALGS is happening this weekend, you will see when teams are confident where the enemy is at. It's why intel from like a Bloodhound, they will provide you a lot of information. Seer, any of those legends will provide you information, and information can be extremely vital to know where an enemy is going to be located from. So we know the 2 teams are in front of us, and we decide in just a moment, I'm going to skip a little bit further ahead. We decide to fly north because this is where the zone is ending. It's ending right around here. We do catch a team out right here, and they did res. So they got a res off. You see the res in the upper left-hand side corner there. My mind right now is thinking of the team that's going to third us in the back. I know we have to clean this up very quickly, so I know my mind is split on what's happening. So I'm trying to play a little aggro with the team. They did get 1 knocked already. And I kind of whiffed some of my shots. This was definitely carried from Mari. Mari does get 11 kills here as well. The team is doing great. Sarah's doing great. She did a lot of cleanup there. So everything's going positive, and the confidence is back once we heal right back up. So it can impact your current fight when you have another team that is going to potentially push you. You have that in the back of your mind, and you start to worry, and you need to get to high ground and the better positioning. So we skip here. This round ends in a not so epic fashion, it's pretty lackluster. The other two teams are fighting, right? We have to go push on this. We make a play. This is pretty easy and straightforward at this point. They're dying to zone. Take a look. And that's honestly it. That one has a self-revive. This was a pretty easy round. Nice solid. I think it was just 10 kills or 11 kills. I'm not quite sure. And we're going to cover just one more round that was pretty good. I think if I stayed calm, you notice whenever I got the most kills was when I was in my flow state. When I was starting to panic a little bit, I really wanted this round to go really well. When I started to worry a little bit too much was whenever I didn't get as many knocks or do as much. So let's go into the next round and let's highlight that next. Okay, the next round is a duo that I did with Mari a little bit later that same day. And we go for a hot drop over at Octane's place. And we're dropping, and this was after the good round that I already had, so I already was feeling pretty positive. And the energy, the vibes are at all-time high. You ever seen a stream, and a streamer whenever they're doing ranked, just like keep the vibes high, got to keep things positive, keep the momentum going, because the momentum can easily be lost just from a bad round, and that can really mess things up. So when I don't know where the enemies are at, definitely stresses, gets the mind thinking. And I think we had a pretty solid start here. This Wraith wants to be caught in position. I only know where one of them are at. In the back of my mind, I am starting to think where the other is at, and there I get shot, and now we have a 2v2 situation. I'm at least confident because I have purple, but I'm about to get cracked and I need to be careful. So this Wraith almost shreds me here, but I don't think I go into an active state of mind. I'm feeling pretty good overall. And then we do wrap that up. So a nice clean fight right off the rip. And I think we get into another fight shortly after. Let's skip ahead to that, shall we? Looks like it takes us a second, and here we go. So we do hear another team is nearby, and I full send it. So very much thinking of where they're at, what the next move is. Managed to snag him there. I don't know how I managed to get that, actually. It looked like it was a bit of lag, to be honest. If I just flicked to him, that was an interesting cleanup. There is, I believe, one more. And there they are. And this should be the cleanup, and there it is. So a nice little 360 movement there. But I am looting quickly because I'm worried about getting thirded. I think that's always a stressful point for anybody who's playing Apex Legends, is looting and trying to recover just to be sure you don't get thirded. From this round, I don't think we do, so I'm going to skip ahead. Get to the meat and potatoes of what's going on here. So I do see a fight that's going on. They're all fighting over here, and I want to engage in this, but I don't have information, and I'm trying to assess and look at what's going on. I know there's a fight that's breaking out here, and I do see them up top. So I decide to put a zip and go for it, and I see this last second, and I try to take some shots, and I definitely get fried. I almost went down, to be honest. I wasn't necessarily expecting that. I hear him right above me, and I'm worried if he's going to drop on me. I don't know the situation of what's going to happen here. And because of that, I'm losing confidence in this fight. Excuse me. But confidence does build as we restabilize and build our ground. So I go up top here, just pretty much ego push. And I see one of them is here, which is a crypto from earlier. I do a little bit of a tap strafe for Reno, which is definitely going away in the game. So when you're watching this coming week, this patch, you won't have any more of that tap strafing. But it's still, maybe I'll do another one of these. Leave a like. Let's see if you want to see more of this. I think it's very interesting to break down the thought process. Feedback I feel like you guys are going to have, move the little meter on the upper left. Other feedback I can see you guys having is leave the comms in. This is a first go at this. I know I've done some VOD reviews I haven't left in the comms, but maybe I should, especially for the FocusCalm score that we have. So I'll try to add that into the future videos. So I skip forward just a little bit. There is a Bloodhound here that I do catch out of position. They seem to be a little bit off the mark. There is another team also nearby. It's not just one team. And I hear him. He's about to run through. And I feel a lot more confident just because I got myself off and I know the damage that we did. He walks right back into the massive shot, and there is a nice cleanup. So I did reach a nice relaxed state of mind here. Hit a nice solid score in 90, so that was quite nice as well. And that's just because we're really pushing. We're really vibing. Things are going pretty positive here. So we'll skip ahead just a little bit to the next fight. Again, the common theme that you're going to see is when I'm looting, that's what I'm thinking, when I don't know where the team is, when we're searching, surveying, looking for information. This was bad on my part. This is a full-on ego push. And you can see I am thinking. It isn't working out. That was a bad push. And once we recover, I start to feel a little bit better. I go back to a neutral state instead of thinking. Especially when he drops that, I definitely feel a lot better. But I am worried. I need to get myself back together, prioritize the heals that I need for the situation. And then boom, we're right back in it. So let me know in the comments what you think. Is it possible to reach a constant flow state? And the reason why I'm grappling ahead of here is because we hear a fight that's breaking out. We're just trying to catch up to them. We're literally hot on their trail. They end up way further down below too by the time we catch up to them. I think overall, I got another 10 kills. I think some of this picks up towards the end, which is definitely positive. I wonder if I'm going to reach an active step. There we go. And then you have to say it. It feels like I can figure out whenever I'm losing my momentum and it's not being in a gunfight. The longer I stay out of a gunfight, and this is where ALGS is so difficult, especially with ranked, because you're not super engaged at every one moment in time. I came from Battlefield where you got to just kind of, you know, get eliminated, respawn, get eliminated, respawn. You only get one life in a battle royale, and that's really important to highlight here, of why, especially why I'm using FocusCalm, just to highlight how we can be better and where you can smooth out your consistency and really analyzing it. And that's what's the fascinating part about really watching this footage back. I'm doing it live in real time with you guys to assess even my mistakes and what worked and what didn't. So we got one down. There's only one more, and this is duos compared to trios. I figured doing a bit of variety in the modes would also help things out as well. So a nice bit of damage there. At this point, we just go on for the push. I'm feeling very confident. You see it in the FocusCalm score there. Shoots right up, and I start to drop a little bit because I'm starting to whiff. I'm like, hello, what's going on here? Why am I whiffing? And you notice also the trend whenever you're whiffing your shots, you will start to kind of move out of your flow state because you start to think. You start to think about your shots and it starts to feel less positive. So we go looking for more people, and that's the reason why we use the ult. We do catch a team here. We see them right in front of us. I get hit by a sentinel shot. I had to heal. The zone is right behind us, so the zone is putting some pressure on me thinking how we're going to get out of the situation. What utility do I need to use? I try to use that to go forward. I try to think my way out of the situation to fly a little bit past the gas. We do manage to get one down, and I don't have to think as much here now. The thinking was the zone's behind me. I have to use utility. They're gating us. Do we rotate? What do we do? All of those things are crossing through my mind, and I'm thinking about all of them all at once, which can be quite stressful. Now we continue onwards. It's really hard to see the enemy a lot, especially with certain skins. This skin was very brown. I forget who we're chasing. I think it's a Pathfinder, the Burgundy Knight. And it was very hard to see them in the grass, especially with the background. But we keep on pushing, we keep on chasing. We're pretty confident. We know even if we run into another team, well, the Pathfinder ahead of us should be able to find them before we do. So let's skip ahead where we find the next fight. This Pathfinder does pretty much get away from us, and we decide to go back because we notice that he's circling back to his teammate to recover the banner. So I do make that call here. And there's a decision process when you're using abilities. When you think about using an ability, I also am noticing the trend while watching the footage of using an ability even causes you to think, is it a good idea to use that ability or not? Or whenever you pull up your inventory and you're thinking about what you have and what resources are available. This is not that Pathfinder team, unfortunately, but I am feeling very confident because I know that we have the one-up on them. We have the jump, and I'm calling for a push, and there is a really nice spray. Almost got him knocked there. I'm surprised I'm not in a relaxed state here. just because I'm confident. It could be because I'm not sure about that Pathfinder, so there is a thought process right below. And there we go. There was a lot of utility thrown at me there from the horizon just to get me to back off. Plus side there, got a lot of damage. But it is get me thinking because the zone is going to close. I know you can't see that, but there is a time constraint here that I start worrying about. The timer, and we didn't talk about this, but the zone can put unnecessary pressure in the back of your mind to think about things. And there you see the zone, just as we mentioned, there's a countdown timer. It does start to be in the back of my mind, okay, zone's closing, I need to think, I need to move, I need to go to a better spot, I need to think about my positioning. And it gets you thinking and worrying. Even if it's unintentional, just like the little things start to add up in the back of your mind, and that's really important to highlight. So I'm going to skip ahead because we go for a chase because one of them got away, but we know they can't take zone damage, so we go ahead and push for the fight in front of us. We believe this person is isolated because we see one on the right and we see one in front of us. This person turns out to not be isolated after all. He does have a teammate on the right. I go for the cleanup here, but I am starting to worry about a third party. I get pushed in here. I'm trying to think my way out. I don't have any utility. Mari is calling for assistance because he's got one on him, but he's actually fine. He's got it as well, and one has a self-revive. So there's a lot of thinking that happened here when utilizing abilities, which causes the score to drop. And what's going to cause your score to drop is you start to think about what's happening, can I get out of this, what utility can I use, can I position better? And at this point, because we're cleaning things up so calmly there was a confidence boost. So I feel like there's a confidence boost that builds your momentum. And I've talked a lot about this when I've commentated over ALGS tournaments before, of the confidence booster that a team gets when they go for a clean wipe and they're able to build momentum. It's very, very important to highlight. So I try to go for this, and Mari really cleans up the lobby at the very end here compared to me. So shout out to Mari. I don't have information. I'm trying to decide if I should stick on this guy or if I should push one over here. I want to win this round for the video, so I kind of start to think a little bit more. I'm like, should I get a little bit more serious? This guy throws a million arcs at his door for some reason. I don't really know what the game plan for that guy was. And there's only one remaining. I decide for the memes to go for the ego push here. I even call for it that I'm going to go ego push. I'm feeling confident. Maybe not in my FocusCalm score, but I'm not necessarily active or thinking. I'm just full on sending. Because I don't think that he's going to kill me. And he ultimately doesn't. And there goes the win. And you saw the score update because I knew, if somebody's not landing your shots, I think that's something important to really highlight. Is you start to really feel a lot more confident. When you know you can win a fight, your mind clears and you stress out way less. This is another good amount of damage. Mari killed in these last two, to be honest, compared to me. But overall, really good. So again, guys, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you really like this type of video, I really enjoyed making it. This was a journey. This was a journey where I did not know how this video was going to shape up, what was going to happen, how everything was going to look like, what I was going to do with it initially. But I'm really happy with the end result, and I know it's really long, but hopefully it's really educational to help you out to achieving a flow state and also finding a sense of calm and focus in Apex Legends. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.